You know that feeling when you just stop for a second and hear a bird singing? Or watch one soaring way up in the sky? It's pretty incredible, right? They bring so much to our lives. But here's the thing. These familiar neighbors of ours are in real trouble. So today, we're going to dive into a really cool, powerful way we can all pitch in to help protect them. It's called crowdfunding. So let's see how it all works. All right, so here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll get a handle on the challenges that wild birds are up against. Then we'll explore how crowdfunding is offering some serious hope. We'll look at what your support actually does on the ground and cover all the different ways you can get involved, with your wallet or just with your daily habits. And finally, we'll wrap up by looking at the future we can all build for them. Okay, first things first, a neighbor in crisis. Before we can even start talking about solutions, we've got to understand the problem. So let's connect with why these birds, the ones we see and hear every day, really, truly need our help right now. For most of us, it's all good stuff, isn't it? We think of freedom, of those beautiful songs you hear at sunrise, those little bursts of life we see in our parks and backyards. They're just kind of there, a wonderful, constant part of our world. But that beautiful reality, well, it's becoming a lot more fragile than you think. Here's the tough truth. The world that our feathered friends depend on is shrinking, and it's shrinking fast. We're paving over their homes for new developments. They're facing tough competition from invasive species. That's animals that don't belong in the area and who are messing up the whole ecosystem. And if that wasn't enough, you throw in climate change and pollution, and the pressure is just immense. It's a massive crisis that's happening right in front of us. So the big question is, what can we possibly do about it? Well, this is where a totally modern tool is creating a brand new path for conservation. We usually think of crowdfunding for stuff like new gadgets or an indie movie, right? But it's also becoming an absolutely vital lifeline for wildlife. At its heart, the idea is really simple. Instead of a conservation project trying to get one huge grant from a big foundation, they can go directly to people like you and me. The whole idea is that a huge group of us can each chip in just a small amount, and together, that creates this massive collective impact. It helps fund crucial work that might have been impossible otherwise. So what does the support actually look like in the real world? It's one thing to donate, but it's another to know exactly where that money is going. So let's break down the real, on-the-ground results that crowdfunding makes happen. This is where a small donation gets turned into direct action. Your support could literally become the wooden nails for a safe nesting docks. It could help fund fences to protect a nesting ground from predators. Or it could fuel critical research, like paying for tiny GPS trackers to map out migration routes. It also helps with public education, and more, it's being used to help restore habitats that have been wiped out by things like wildfires or flood. Pretty inspiring, right? Seeing what can actually be done. So you might be thinking, okay, I'm in. How can I help? Well, let's talk about that. And we'll start with the most direct route, making a financial contribution. It is so easy to think, what's my $5 really going to do? But with crowdfunding, that logic just doesn't apply. It's a total game changer. Every single dollar adds up. Your few dollars combined with a few dollars from hundreds of other people can literally fund an entire project. It is a vital step toward making sure these birds have a future. Now, before you give, it's always smart to do a quick check. Take a look at the organization running the project. Do they have a website? A history of other projects? Sticking to well-known crowdfunding platforms is always a safe bet too. And hey, check out the rewards. Lots of projects offer cool perks like photo updates or behind-the-scenes info that bring you closer to the cause. But remember, while those are fun, the real reward is knowing you helped make it all happen. Okay, so financial support is amazing, but it is not the only way to help. Not by a long shot. In fact, some of the most powerful things you can do are completely free and anyone can do them. Seriously, there are some incredibly powerful ways to chip in that don't cost a single cent. And this is so important because it means that absolutely everyone, no matter your budget, can play a real, meaningful part in the solution. So what are they? First, just be an amplifier. If you see a project you believe in, share it. Put it on your social media. You have no idea whose screen it might pop up on. Your one little post could create this huge ripple effect. The second way is even more personal. It's all about the small choices we make in our own daily lives. And we are talking about super simple things here. If you have a cat, keeping it indoors is one of the biggest single things you can do for local bird populations, period. Never litter. I know, it sounds obvious, but a piece of plastic or a can could be a death trap. When you're out in nature, just be mindful of where you're stepping. Don't disturb nesting sites. These small, conscious choices, they all add up to create a much safer world for the birds right outside our windows. So when you combine that direct support that comes from crowdfunding with all of us making these small, mindful, daily actions, you start to build a much, much more hopeful future. This really just gets to the heart of it all, doesn't it? This isn't about one person doing everything. It's about all of us doing what we can. Every donation, every social media share, every thoughtful action, it all adds up to something huge. We all have a part to play in making sure those beautiful songs don't just fade away. So I hope this has given you a clearer picture of how crowdfunding is really changing the game for bird conservation. But this conversation shouldn't stop here. Now I would love to hear from all of you. Are there any local projects or initiatives that you're passionate about? Share them in the comments below. Let's keep this conversation and all the support growing.